Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Middle School Speaks. I'm Rowan, and today I'm here with Aubrey, Will, and Evan, and we will be discussing whether or not a retirement age is or is not necessary.
Can I start us off?
Yeah, go ahead.
Social Security is not enough to live off of because people who are retired have to pay for rent, groceries, and medical bills, and those can get really expensive. The news article said the average Social Security for an elder is around $1,980 per month, and that is obviously not enough to meet the 2025 standards and how much everything is right now.
So yeah, that makes sense, but I would also like to add in that if you are one of the average middle class people living in the U.S., then your Social Security is based off your yearly income for your entire life up to the point which you retire. I would also like to add on the fact that the average retirement age was set in 1934, which is almost 90 years ago, and that shows that it's pretty outdated.
I actually agree. Some of these rules are pretty outdated. I mean, life back in the 1900s is pretty different from the 2000s now. In the 2000s, I mean, people work more jobs, more hours. People work late into the night. I mean, it can be pretty different. So now I'd just like to kind of move on and say that a mandatory retirement age is a lot like discrimination. Discrimination is judging someone on the grounds of their age, race, or gender. And I think providing a mandatory retirement age would just kind of show some people that discrimination is sort of all around you.
Yes, I do agree with you for some jobs, but like a pilot or a policeman, you need to be at a younger age because people that are younger can have better abilities, and you wouldn't want like a 6-year-old being a pilot or a policeman. But some jobs, like a librarian or like a grocery worker, they shouldn't have a age limit. To expand my point, some jobs are more physically demanding, like a firefighter or a pilot that always has to work 24/7.
I don't agree with you, but I can see your point of view. Police officers and firefighters are very physically demanding on the body. They're also very difficult jobs, and they're very important in the U.S. because they protect our country and just play a huge role. To ease into my next point, more people travel, which means more flights, but there's not enough pilots due to the pandemic because there was a big pause in training for pilots or even flight attendants. Pilots are working 24/7, going back and forth to different airports, and they have lots of traveling to do.
Yes, you do have a point there, but it's not worth it just to add older pilots and risk the safety of the passengers on the plane. So maybe we should try to get younger population to become pilots.
I do agree with you, but that's why we should have a test for every 3 months to see if their skills are still up to standards.
That's a pretty good point.
I also agree to that, although I do think that the test could be a little bit more spread out than 3 months. Maybe like every 6 months, so every half a year.
Yeah, or like depending on the age, like I think that would be good as well.
Yeah, I feel like as you get older, you might want more frequent tests because you never know when someone's going to decline.
Yeah, that could definitely vary on the
say
age.
if you were turned 66, you could have one like every 6 months, but if you were 67 or like 70,
Older.
like every 3 months.
Yeah, you might want them every 3 months.
Yeah, that would make sense. So varying on the age would vary on the age gap in between the tests.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay, now I'd just like to say, while the cost of your day-to-day necessities rises, the amount of money in your Social Security account will stay static. You could go from paying $200 for groceries to $300 for groceries. I mean, that's kind of a lot of money out of your pocket, and that is a huge difference in price. And this is all because of inflation.
That is a good point, but like I said earlier, the Social Security that you get is based on your yearly income for the life before that. And as inflation may rise, normally your salary will also rise, which would lead to a bit higher Social Security, and it'll be meant for you.
I understand what you're saying, but when you first got your job and you could have gone to the store and gotten 5 things for $10. Now you could go to the store and you could get 2 things for $10. That is, you could get those same things. It's just that much different in price. With inflation, the value of money is going down, making all the other things around you much higher in price.
That is a true point, though. The inflation is really going up. That also leads me to my next point, which is when you work past a certain age for certain jobs, it can lead to certain illnesses, diseases, and other injuries. In fact, Occupational Safety and Health Administration inspectors found workers in Amazon warehouses to be at high risk for lower back injuries and other musculoskeletal disorders related to the high frequency with which workers are required to lift packages and other items, said Time magazine.
Okay, I understand that, but you could retire from that and switch your job to something less physically demanding, like a cashier. I mean, just because one job that you have been doing almost your entire life doesn't mean that you should give up working for the rest of your life. I mean, there are other things you can do to make small amounts of money to add on to your Social Security.
That definitely makes sense. That's a really good point.
Okay, so can we all agree that some jobs do need mandatory retirement ages and others maybe don't?
Yeah, because like at 45 as a teacher, if you were to retire at 45 as a teacher, it would be very different than retiring as a police officer at 45 because of the salaries.
Do we all agree?
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I agree, because like when you work in the Amazon warehouse, for example, that's different than just working with a cashier.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you all for listening in. And remember, turn on your notifications so you can listen to our newest episodes and comment your side.